Hi, everybody. Welcome to the episode of In the School Parking Lot. My name is Paul Everts, and I'm your host. I would love you to contact me at my email address, which is BAND, band together at Comcast.net. Also, visit our website, which is conductingmylife.com. You'll see I'm a speaker, trainer, coach, and I'm an author. So I'd love you to be a part of my life. I'm recording this on the 10th of August, 2024. It is 11:17 a.m. California time, Pacific Standard Time. Hey, we are sharing different stories with you. This is episode 25 of our show. Just a reminder that I am a high school music teacher, but now I'm 4th through 12th grade. I teach at a charter school here. I don't represent the charter school. I do not represent the charter school when I do this. That's my disclaimer. Otherwise, I get in trouble. I'm not representing charter school. I'm representing Paul Everts Incorporated. All right. Today's episode 25. I am posting this on the 24th of August. So I hope the world is still intact. And this is actually a story that was published on July 10th. I have to look down at my computer. It's like, what's he looking down for? Okay, calm down. This is by Candace McDuffie. Sacramento science teacher suspended. Asking the racist question on biology test, teacher Alex Nguyen, which is Nguyen, has been a teacher at Luther Burbank High School for at least a decade. So again, what we do in the school parking lot is I find stories about education. We are working out of a book about educators. This is called Crimes of the Educators. And I probably lost half of you already. But the idea is that I'm finding stories about the profession I've loved. I love my profession. I've been doing it since 1989. Love it. However, I also want to give it another side to it. I want a microscope of it. And as I've been doing this, please take note, man. I've been getting kicked. I can't tell you where I've been kicked, but I've been kicked. And I'm just going to continue to do it because I think the stories are important. They should be shared. We should be talking about these stories and why is education going through this. And as I said, I'm looking down here because this is where my computer is. This is just a simple little show for all of you. Okay. So let's go ahead and see what Alex Nguyen did, shall we? Teacher Alex Nguyen of Luther Burbank High School in Sacramento, California, is under fire for including what's perceived as inappropriate and racist questions on a biology final exam given last month. Again, this is a story is July 10th. According to the Sacramento Bee, several students in the class were identified by first and last name on the test. Nguyen, which is Nguyen, it's not Nguyen. I was told it's Nguyen, chose to describe the students by their ethnicities and physical appearances. Then he paired them up and asked questions about what traits a possible child of these two students would have. One of the most shocking questions on the test was about how Black people have affected other races with their traits. What is going on? For some reason, the African American culture has influenced most of the student body. How? In African Americans, they have a gene for the pimp walk, which is dominant. This is the way the question's being given to the students. What is this man, I'm going to say, is thinking? What is the result if you cross student name homozygous dominant Latina with a homozygous recessive Hmong, Hmong, like student name? I cannot believe this is happening. I'm going to keep reading it. It gives me the willies. The question stated that the dominant trait was walking with a limp and the recessive trait was normal. The teacher, again, last name is Nguyen, Nguyen, also made fun of another student, included their full name in the question. Quote, in high school, there are individuals who are cross-eyed like name of student and the name of student previously mentioned, which is a dominant trait. He's actually giving students names? Okay, I'm going to keep reading. We call those individuals weirdos. This is from the teacher. The teacher's doing this. So if you crossed two weirdos, and he mentions the students' names again, that are heterozygous for being cross-eyed, what is the offspring that would result? 10 minutes into the final, Principal Jim Peterson went to Wynn's class to pull the test. However, after Peterson left, Wynn continued the same exam, but instead put the questions on a projector and requested the class write their answers on their own sheets of paper. District spokesperson Al Goldberg said that the investigation into Wynn's conduct is still underway. And again, this is a Sacramento science teacher suspended for asking the racist question, what? On biology test. Teacher's name is Alex, Nguyen, has been a teacher at Luther Burbank High School for at least a decade. This is, again, published in the root.com. The link will be in the description of today's episode. I don't understand. What are you people doing? I do not get it. Again, I've taught since 1989. I would never think about doing that. Innocent until proven guilty. Innocent. Okay, fine. He's innocent until proven guilty. Whatever. But to even have a story like this. Again, Candace McDuffie, published Wednesday, July 10th. And I've read this to you starting on the week of August the 24th. I'm shocked. This is so inappropriate. It's disgusting. It's sick. And even if it's found to be innocent, you who lied then and put this out there, you are sick then. The whole thing is sick. If this is true, it's sick. If it's a lie and it's incriminating this poor man named Alex Wynn, that is sick. Okay. Chapter 20. The making of the black underclass. Quote, when they call you articulate, that's another way of saying, quote, he talks good for a black guy. And this is Independent Magazine, 1995. And the person quoted Ice-T, the rapper. When they call you articulate, that's another way of saying he talks good for a black guy. Again, the chapter is the making of the black underclass. I just read highlights. You've got to buy the book to read the whole thing. Plus, I don't want the author to get mad at me. So I've just got things highlighted. There we go, real quick. If we fast forward 63 years to 1993, we find a U.S. government report revealing that 90 million American adults can barely read or write. Indeed, it is estimated that 50% of African Americans today are functionally illiterate, ! What happened in the interim to produce this literacy catastrophe? Two things, according to the author. Number one, the progressives adopted the racial policies of the eugenics movement, which declared African Americans racially inferior and relegated them to a non-academic manual education. And number two, the progressives denigrated high individualistic literacy created by intensive phonics in favor of collectivist social goals. The tragedy is that African Americans had made great educational advances in the first half of the 20th century, but from 1950 onward, the great slide into academic failure began for many African Americans. That's on page 169. Another one. It was Professor G. Stanley Hall, a leading progressive educator and mentor to John Dewey, who wrote in defense of illiteracy. 1911. This is 1911. This is over 100 years ago. He wrote, very many men have lived and died and been great, even the leaders of their age, without any acquaintance with letters. The knowledge which illiterates acquire is probably on the whole more personal, more direct, more environmental, and probably a much larger proportion of it practical. Moreover, they escape much eye strain and mental excitement, and, other things being equal, are probably more active and less sedentary. This is being said in 1911. Perhaps we are prone to put too high a value both upon the ability required to attain this art and the discipline involved in doing so, as well as the culture value that comes to the citizen with his average of only 6 grades of schooling by the acquisition of this art. And 70 years later, in 1981, we find Harvard professor Anthony Oettinger, Oettinger, just in case you want to Google him, Oettinger, asking an audience of communications executives. He asked the following, quote, "Do we really have to have everybody literate, writing and reading in the traditional sense, when we have the means through our technology to achieve a new flowering of oral communication," end of quote. Of all Americans affected by this change in educational philosophy, African Americans have suffered the most, according to this author, I'm just reading it, please calm down. They have had a much more difficult time adjusting to the new progressive curriculum and its teaching methods than any other group. As a result, a great negative gap has grown between the academic achievements of African Americans and their white compatriots. And again, let me just read a couple more things because it's 11 minutes and 26 seconds and I don't want to lose you. So let's take a look. I have something that's been highlighted. Dalrymple, Dalrymple, Dalrymple places the blame for the moral depravity of the underclass on the intellectual elite, the intelligentsia, who promoted among themselves the tantalizing idea of free love and moral relativism. These ideas have filtered down to average Americans mainly through the secularized culture and education. Dalrymple wrote, "But intellectuals in the 20th century sought to free our sexual relations of all social, contractual, or moral obligation and meaning whatsoever, so that henceforth only raw sexual desire itself would count in our decision-making," end of quote. That is why kids in the public schools need condoms, according to the author. He commented, quote, "Where fashion in clothes, bodily adornment, and music are concerned, it is the underclass that increasingly sets the pace. Never before has there been so much downward cultural aspiration. Each day my faith in the ability of human beings comprehensively to ruin their lives is renewed. Truly, the ways of human misery are infinite." And he goes on from there. And here's the last paragraph or two, and then I'm done. As a result, growing functional illiteracy in America has produced a lethal time bomb, a race war, if you will. A literate society is a less violent society. A literate society is a less violent society. Until the American people understand the evil consequences of educational malpractice, they will be forced to tolerate increasing violence among those who have been deliberately, according to the author, deprived of the use of their brains. And here's the solution. Teach every child in kindergarten and first grade to read with intensive systemic phonics that will turn them all into superb readers and enhance their brain power by enabling them to master language. A simple idea, but one that works. High literacy is the road out of the underclass. The making of the black underclass. Hard book to read. I strongly suggest you do read it. I appreciate the author's courage in writing it. If this offended any of you, you got to ask yourself, how come it offended you? And then read the book and see where they're coming from. Thanks a lot for your time. We do have a Venmo account. We appreciate any donations that you can give to us to keep this going. Please subscribe, share, and help the algorithm find free speech. Press the like button. Okay, till next time. Love you. God bless.